In the bold and the beautiful, secrets rarely remain dormant. They do not disappear. They calcify, embedding themselves into timelines, records, and silences until one small anomaly cracks the surface and everything beneath begins to shift. That anomaly arrives quietly, buried deep inside an international insurance database, an obstetric file marked as frozen, sealed by protocols usually reserved for cases involving legal exposure, witness protection, or imminent physical threat. It is a detail most administrators would never notice. But John Finnegan is not most administrators. He is a physician, trained to read absence as carefully as presence, to question why something is hidden rather than accept that it simply is. Finn's discovery begins as professional curiosity. A flagged record appears during a routine cross-check tied to a patient transfer agreement between hospitals. Its timestamp aligning precisely with a period when Steffi Forrester claimed she was away on a private wellness retreat. At first, Finn tells himself coincidence is the most likely explanation. Steffi has always guarded her privacy fiercely, especially when it comes to stress, trauma, and the weight of carrying the Forrester legacy. Yet, the more he studies the metadata, the harder it becomes to dismiss. The obstetric coding is unmistakable. The location is offshore. The date is exact. And the status locked, inaccessible even to attending physicians, suggests not discretion, but fear. When Finn finally confronts Steffi, he does not do so as a suspicious husband, but as a doctor concerned about continuity of care. He asks neutral questions, framed in clinical language, giving her space to explain. Steffi does not. She deflects, redirects, and ultimately shuts down the conversation altogether. Her refusal is not cold, it is panicked. Finn recognizes the signs instantly. This is not avoidance born of guilt. It is avoidance born of terror of what disclosure might unleash. Steffi's silence, when it finally breaks, is not complete. She does not deny the pregnancy. She reframes it. She tells Finn that what happened during that vacation was not a retreat, but an emergency one she believed she had handled privately and permanently. The pregnancy, she admits, was accompanied by severe complications, hemorrhaging, cardiovascular instability, and a cascade of risks that nearly cost her life. The child survived. She barely did. And in the aftermath, Steffi made a decision that would haunt her long after the physical wounds healed. She sealed the record. Her reasoning is chillingly logical. Steffi has lived long enough under threat to understand how vulnerability becomes weaponized. She has watched enemies exploit weakness, manipulate narratives, and turn personal pain into leverage. A medical record confirming life-threatening obstetric complications would not remain private for long, not in a world where power struggles spill into tabloids, courtrooms, and custody disputes. If word got out, her opponents could question her fitness as a mother, challenge her authority at Forrester Creations, or worse, use the information to destabilize her psychologically, targeting her children as pressure points. Recent tensions, whispered threats, and the unsettling suggestion that children could be collateral damage had made one truth inescapable. Safety required silence. Finn listens. He understands fear. He understands trauma. What he cannot reconcile is the timeline. As a physician, Finn's mind keeps returning to the numbers, gestational markers, conception windows, biological rhythms that do not bend to emotion or explanation. The pregnancy does not align cleanly with the period when he and Steffi were together. It is not impossible, but it is improbable. And improbability, when paired with evasion, becomes suspicion. Finn asks questions he would ask any patient, about dates, about symptoms, about prenatal care. Steffi avoids them all, not angrily, strategically. She answers emotionally, not medically. For Finn, that distinction is everything. The fracture between them widens not because Finn stops loving Steffi, but because he cannot stop being a doctor. He knows that uncertainty festers. He knows that unanswered questions corrode trust faster than any confirmed betrayal. And most of all, he knows that if the child is not biologically his, the truth will not remain buried, especially not with a sealed record already raising flags. The decision Finn makes next is the most devastating one of his life, precisely because it violates his own code. He orders a DNA test in secret. He tells himself it is for clarity, for protection, for the child's future. He does not tell Steffi because he believes the truth, whatever it is, will end the torment for both of them. In a moment of bitter irony, the man who values consent above all else convinces himself that this one deception is an act of mercy. The sample is collected discreetly. The chain of custody is logged. The system acknowledges receipt. And then nothing. The results stall. Processing delays appear without explanation. Access credentials that should work do not. When Finn escalates the inquiry, he encounters a wall he has never hit before. Authorization overrides beyond hospital administration, beyond insurance providers, beyond even his own medical network. Someone has intervened. Someone with enough power to touch a prenatal DNA sample before the presumed father and before the attending physician never sees the results. This is the moment the story detonates. Finn's fear shifts instantly from personal to existential. This is no longer about paternity alone. It is about control, about who is watching, who is listening, and who believes they have the right to manipulate biological truth for strategic gain. The sealed obstetric record, the frozen DNA test, the impenetrable firewall around Steffi's medical history, all of it points to a single, horrifying conclusion. The pregnancy is not just a secret. It is an asset. As Finn begins tracing the interference, he realizes how exposed he truly is. Medical ethics offer no shield against actors who operate outside the system. Whoever intervened did so with surgical precision, leaving no fingerprints, no audit trail that leads to a name. The only certainty is intent. Someone wanted to delay the truth. Someone wanted time. Steffi, when she learns of the test, does not react with outrage. She reacts with resignation. Her worst fear has come true, not that Finn doubted her, but that her silence failed to protect them. She understands immediately what Finn does not yet want to admit. The danger is no longer hypothetical. The very thing she feared, external forces exploiting her health, her pregnancy, her children, has already begun. Their confrontation is not explosive. It is quiet, suffocating, and devastating. Finn admits what he did. Steffi admits why she hid the truth. They stand on opposite sides of the same terror, realizing too late that secrecy and suspicion have only widened the opening for intrusion. Finn wants answers. Steffi wants containment. Neither can have both. As the fallout spreads, the implications ripple outward. Questions emerge that no one is prepared to answer. If Finn is not the father, who is? If Finn is the father, why interfere? And perhaps most disturbing of all, who has enough influence to intercept medical data at this level, and why are they invested in the outcome? The narrative shifts from intimate betrayal to systemic threat. Forrester Creations, already destabilized by recent power consolidations, becomes a potential battlefield for leverage. Custody law, corporate governance, and public perception converge around a single, fragile truth. Biology has become political. The child at the center of this storm is no longer just a person. They are a trigger. Finn's role transforms. He is no longer just a husband seeking certainty. He becomes an investigator, forced to question the sanctity of the institutions he once trusted implicitly. Steffi, meanwhile, is thrust back into the posture she knows best: defender, strategist, mother willing to make impossible choices. Her fear is no longer about exposure alone. It is about escalation, about what happens next if the wrong person gains access to the truth first. The war that opens is not loud. It is procedural, bureaucratic, and ruthless. It is fought through databases, legal loopholes, sealed files, and whispered influence. And at its core lies the most dangerous question of all: not who the father is, but who has the authority to decide when the truth is revealed and at what cost. In The Bold and the Beautiful, love has always been vulnerable to manipulation. But this time, the stakes are different. This time, the battle is not just for a relationship, a legacy, or a company. It is for bodily autonomy, parental rights, and the safety of a child whose existence has already become leverage. And as Finn and Steffi stand on the brink of a truth neither of them fully controls, one reality becomes unavoidable. The greatest threat was never the secret itself, but the moment someone else learned how valuable it was. In the world of the bold and the beautiful, truth is rarely revealed because someone is ready to hear it. More often, it is uncovered because silence becomes heavier than confession. That is the weight pressing down on John Finnegan as he begins to notice what should have been impossible to miss from the very beginning. Steffi Forrester will not let him sign the birth certificate, will not allow him to authorize routine medical procedures, will not let his name be etched into the first official records of the child he has been told is his. For any other couple, these might be dismissed as administrative delays or emotional hesitation. But Finn knows Steffi. He knows her instincts in crisis, her ferocity when family is threatened, her almost reflexive need to lock down control and build walls when danger approaches. And this withholding, this exclusion cuts directly against everything she has ever been when protecting the people she loves. At first, Finn tells himself there must be a reason that has nothing to do with him. Steffi has always been hyper-aware of external threats, especially when children are involved. Recent tensions, whispered dangers, and the unsettling sense that innocence is no longer off-limits have left scars on her psyche. Finn wants to believe that her refusal is simply another manifestation of that fear, another layer of armor she has thrown up around her child. But the doubt does not fade. It sharpens. Because fear, Finn knows, does not usually erase trust, it intensifies it. Steffi's instinct has always been to pull family closer when the world feels unsafe, not to push them out. That contradiction becomes the crack through which everything else begins to pour. Finn starts replaying memories he once accepted without question. Steffi leaving town suddenly to protect the kids. Steffi handling medical matters alone. Steffi insisting on private arrangements that bypass him entirely. At the time, he admired her strength, her decisiveness, her willingness to shoulder the burden so others would not have to. Now those same moments take on a different shape. He begins to wonder whether protection was only part of the story or whether concealment was the other half. The question that terrifies him is not whether Steffi is hiding something, but whom she might be hiding it from. The realization creeps in slowly, like a diagnosis no doctor wants to confirm. What if the child is not his? For Finn, this thought is not merely painful, it is destabilizing. His identity is rooted in healing, in truth, in the belief that knowledge, even when brutal, is better than uncertainty. He has lived his life confronting reality head-on, even when it shattered illusions or reopened wounds. The idea that Steffi might be denying him the most fundamental truth about his own family feels like a betrayal of everything they have built together. And yet, when he looks into her eyes, he does not see calculation or malice. He sees exhaustion. He sees fear. He sees someone trying desperately to hold the ground beneath her feet as it fractures. This is where the story takes its darkest turn, not into deception for gain, but silence for mercy. Steffi knows the truth. She has known it since before the child was born. The knowledge did not arrive cleanly or clearly. It came tangled in shock, terror, and the sickening realization that one mistake one moment engineered, manipulated, and twisted beyond her control had changed everything. The child she carried is not Finn's, and the truth, once spoken aloud, would not merely end their marriage, it would destroy Finn in ways she is not sure he could survive. Finn has already endured too much. A childhood marked by instability, a parent whose presence brought danger rather than safety, a life spent constantly proving that he is not defined by the worst parts of his lineage. Steffi has watched him fight to remain whole under pressures that would have broken someone less resilient. She has seen the toll that endless battles take, the way strength becomes a performance, the way silence becomes survival. When she learned the truth about the child's paternity, her first instinct was not self-preservation. It was protection, not of herself, but of Finn. In Steffi's mind, telling him immediately would have been an act of cruelty disguised as honesty. She still believes that timing matters. That truth delivered at the wrong moment can kill something fragile and irreplaceable. So she made a choice that haunts her every waking hour. She would wait. She would find the least devastating moment. She would build a context in which the truth could land without destroying the man she loves. That moment never comes, because Finn does not stop searching. The more Steffi delays, the more Finn's doubt corrodes him from the inside. He begins to internalize the uncertainty, questioning his worth, his reality, his place in the family he thought he was building. Every unanswered question becomes a wound. Every closed door becomes evidence. Finn's investigation is not fueled by jealousy or rage, but by a desperate need to anchor himself in something solid. Ironically, the silence meant to protect him becomes the very thing that begins to unravel him. Steffi watches this happen in slow motion, powerless to stop it without triggering the catastrophe she fears. Each day she delays feels like a betrayal, yet each day she tells herself that one more day might allow her to find a safer path forward. She convinces herself that if she can identify the threat behind the truth, if she can neutralize the danger, then she can finally speak. But the danger is not abstract. It is personal, and it is watching her back. The final, devastating twist is revealed only at the edge of the season's end. The child's father is not a romantic past, not an old flame, not a lapse born of longing. He is the product of a trap, a calculated, orchestrated mistake designed to shatter Steffi's life and destabilize Finn. The pregnancy was never meant to be private or accidental. It was engineered, timed, manipulated, and hidden in plain sight by someone who understood exactly where Steffi was most vulnerable and exactly how to weaponize that vulnerability against the man she loves. This revelation reframes everything. Steffi was not unfaithful in the way Finn imagines. She was targeted, exploited, used as a pawn in a game designed to destroy not just a marriage, but a family's psychological foundation. The child, innocent and blameless, becomes the ultimate leverage proof that the attack succeeded far beyond its original intent. As Finn edges closer to the truth, the cost becomes unbearable. His health deteriorates under the strain. His sense of self fractures. Steffi realizes too late that silence is no longer neutral, it is lethal. Yet, the moment she prepares to speak, the final threat arrives. In a private moment, Steffi opens a box she has hidden deeper than any secret before. Inside are documents, records, proof of orchestration names, dates, financial trails that expose the true mastermind behind the trap. And resting on top is a single message, chilling in its simplicity. If she reveals the truth, the child will disappear. The cliffhanger is not about whether Steffi will choose honesty or silence. It is about what kind of mother, partner, and leader she will become when every option leads to devastation. Protect Finn by destroying him with the truth, or protect the child by becoming complicit in a lie that is slowly killing the man she loves. There is no clean escape, only sacrifice. As the season closes, Steffi stands alone with the box in her hands, the weight of knowledge pressing down on her like gravity. Finn, unaware of the full scope of the danger, continues his search for answers, convinced that any truth will save him. And somewhere in the shadows, the architect of the trap watches, knowing that the most effective weapon is not violence, but choice. In the bold and the beautiful, love has always been tested by betrayal. But this time, it is tested by mercy. And the question that lingers into the darkness is not who the father is, but whether love can survive a truth that was hidden not to deceive, but to protect.